All right, welcome to the second round. Lost the die roll. Our hand's okay. We will keep it. Playing against Celestial Colonnade. There's been a lot of blue-white results over Jeskai in the past weekend, particularly at the Grand Prix in Barcelona. So I'm going to guess blue-white for now, but it could easily be a different flavor. See where those scries go. 2 on the bottom. A colonnade tapped. So yeah, blue-white seems likely. Gonna get in there with our little wizard that could and pass. Would love to spell stutter sprite something. It's possible I ambush Viper here, particularly because it makes the other spell stutter sprite better and we need to be putting on some pressure. Paying costs in response. I'm pretty okay if this, yeah, that is an exchange I'm comfortable with. Still attack here. Shock pass. All right. Well, we'll fire this off. Do want to hit my land drop a little bit here. Did not. Slavamancer's going to get there eventually. You better watch out. Opt. So leaning towards the Terminus version. That is sort of the assumed version at this point anyway. Not every blue-white list is the Terminus list, but Opt typically an indication, one of the indications that they are on such a list. It's possible I am supposed to attempt to spell stutter sprite those. The timing is a little off for me. Bottom on both of those. I think I will attempt to sprite this one. Maybe it just gets padded in response. That would be fine. No, it just resolves. Okay. Jace. Sure. And this is where missing that land drop is incredibly punishing, right? Being able to do that and still hold up these would be quite nice. Fortunately, the Jace has to Fate Seal here. Looks like they're going to go with the Scry option. And hopefully we can find a Lightning Bolt or Wizard's Lightning, any of the 7 to finish it off. We do not. I think I'm going to ship them both at Jace rather than use the Lavamancer since I don't have a wealth of cards in the yard there. Let's see, opponent did put it on the top with that Jace. Again, that was their own library. They're targeting me this time with the Fate Seal. Missing that land drop again there is very punishing. I don't imagine this Vendilion Clique resolves. I could have timed it a little bit differently. It would be nice to just ambush Viper to actually put lethal pressure if I had the ability to still leave up counter spells. But again, with the lack of the land drops, unable to do that. Cryptic Command, yeah, no big surprise there. Still looking for a Bolt or a Wizard's Lightning. Did find a Bolt, and I can still leave up Mana Leak or Remand while I'm doing that. So hopefully we can get this Jace off the table before it actually brainstorms. Obviously, it's still got quite a lot of value in the interim. They must have put a card on bottom for me, right? I had missed that. Yes, they did. Forgot to check that while I was talking about something else. All right, so we're going to bolt that Jace. They attempt to interact here with a negate. If I had the additional land, it's almost tempting to look for it, but no, I can't remand my own bolt here. The Mana Leaks are getting worse and worse. So I think I will choose to leak this negate rather than remand it just to get my draw towards a land, though that is incredibly tempting. The remand will hold more value in the late game. Unfortunately, Terminus gets miracled. Natural miracle too. Not that it matters. Put these things on the bottom. Terminus is great. Now they have plenty of mana to fire up a Teferi, and we will probably just be dead here. Again, sort of the cost of missing these land drops when a turn 7 Teferi resolves while we have Mana Leak, Remand, and Snap. And there's Spire Bluff, always tapped. Our favorite friend, Spire Bluff Canal. Not sure what I want the timing to be on the Snapcaster. Again, I sort of feel like I want to leave these up, but it's unlikely my opponent does anything. If they go to Field of Ruin me here, I should probably bolt the Teferi. They do not. Again, could respond to this. It's possible we're also at a point in this game where I need to ignore the Teferi. That seems not great. Snap. Target bolt. I think I have to go after this Teferi, as bad as that feels. Maybe I don't. I'm just not closing this game out anytime soon. Bolt them. Let's say they animate Colonnade and don't really have much. Then I snag that. They're at 8, down to 6. Couple bolts away. Yeah, maybe. It does seem hard to imagine I'm winning the long game with multiple Colonnades. That's a good draw. It does mean I could have killed the Teferi, though. Might come to regret our decision. Oh, good. Okay, I think they're going for the Colonnade block. It's also a little bit of a sign of weakness, too. Down to 6. I think I fire off this Wizard's Lightning now, when my Mana Leak and Remand are both going to be good. And before they've added a bunch of cards to their hand. Okay, it just resolves. Obviously, we're giving my opponent the information that they're dead to bolt, but I'm sure that's something they'd be cognizant of anyway. Ghost Quarter added to the mix. Probably an indication of a Crucible in the 75. Alright, Spell Stutter Sprite. So I don't actually have a way to deal with this Colonnade this time. I probably don't attack with Snapcaster, unfortunately. That does leave their mana up for other shenanigans. But I could Ambush Viper the Spell Stutter Sprite and then need both bodies to be able to push 1 damage through so I can get there with Electrolyze. If oh, we actually already have Electrolyze in the yard. I guess Burst Lightning then. We want Burst Lightning to still be lethal. That requires an aggressive Spell Stutter Sprite. But our window for this game is certainly closing. D-Sphere. I don't really care about that at all. But I think I use this opportunity to exchange a Remand. Might actually get there if our opponent just has nothing, which seems very unlikely again, but... oh no, they do get to untap the land, so they have the blocker. I guess I ambush this. Kind of want to draw land so I can have snap, lightning, leak. Yeah, that doesn't help. I think we might barely lose this one, but it's going to be very close regardless. Going for the colonnade block would make me feel super good if I had the mana leak available on top of the snap lightning. Okay, so they actually go for snap instead. This is far worse for me. So I let this resolve, see what they target. They probably just target a counterspell and then block. So I will likely just respond with a Snap Wizard's Lightning, and that probably won't be good enough. Yeah, I guess we're doing that. I don't think like waiting till their upkeep is any better for me. Target Wizard's Lightning. See if we can steal this one. So far, so good. Wow. I'm surprised. I didn't think we were going to be able to squeak that one out with, you know, as many Teferi and Jace activations that occurred, but I'm still not convinced, even though it panned out, which was very fortunate. I'm not convinced that the line I took was correct of just ignoring the Teferi. It might have been better for me to go after that Teferi and just hope that my opponent didn't have the resources to cobble together a W there, but it did feel like it was going to be very difficult for me to beat colonnades, which, you know, there were already just 2 of on the board. So I think I would take the same line again, but it is sort of close. Negates and even Disdainful Stroke gets a little better against the Terminus version. Plus it hits Jace and Teferi and Cryptic, so it's worth having, I think. I'm not interested in any of these shenanigans or any of these. As far as what I do not like, pretty much off the snags. Grim Lavamancer is also particularly unexciting. And I will likely just cut the Burst Lightning as the weakest burn spell in the matchup, since we don't really need to be firing it off at creatures. It's mostly just going to be a shock at their face. Yes, you can kick it, but in a matchup like this, you're often... that's very, very rarely going to come up, let's say. So this is probably where I want to be. You'll notice while we play this league that there'll be a lot of distinctions on how good Remand and Spellstutter Sprite and Mana Leak are on the play versus the draw, but I will, in a matchup like this, keep all of them all the time. Remand can still be very good in counterfights, even just to remand my own spells, stuff like that. So I will keep this. No early threat, really, but it is an acceptable hand. Mana Leak's going to be tough because it doesn't really offer anything that our hand doesn't already do, sort of. Like, yeah, it's actually a hard counter instead of this Remand, but we're mostly just going to be sitting here staring at each other. I'll probably even have to use the Snapcaster relatively aggressively, particularly if I'm going to draw another. Maybe not, though, with multiple bolts, come to think of it. Yeah, I guess I'm not likely to do anything with my mana on turn 3 either, so I probably just fire off Lightning Bolt here into Snap Bolt next turn. It's also possible I think I should not have played my Scalding Tarn this turn for what it's worth. I don't have a particular reason for why I did other than some autopilot while speaking perhaps, but yeah, I think it's like, yeah, I pull out a land. I put a land on bottom and a mana leak. The land is sort of net neutral. And I shuffle that mana leak back in, which is, I think, not where I want to be at the moment. Plus, fetch lands with Delver can generate a Pseudo Scry if we happen to find one of those. So I think all in all, I was not supposed to do that. All right, looks like I did find something else to do with my mana, so I might have been better served had I Ambush Vipered on turn 2. I think I will probably, if assuming nothing happens, I think I probably will go for the Snapcaster here. No, I should go for the Click. Just trying to consider, like, maybe the Click's much more important and less likely to resolve. But looks like it does resolve. I don't really need to take out a Snapcaster here. My Snapcasters aren't redundant since I have multiple bolt effects. Okay. Opponent's hand is not bad. I think I need to take this Timely. I think that's scarier than Jace the Mind Sculptor in this spot. I'm going to go ahead and path this now so we can get that too. Go ahead and grab an island. Already been through a couple basics here, so we may find ourselves quickly running out. Disdainful Stroke is not a bad draw. And all the more reason to leave them with Jace instead of something like Timely. Since Negate and Mana Lake will hit them both. But Disdainful Stroke also hits that. And causes them to use more mana if we were just going to remand it. So we'll go for Snap Bolt here with Remand and Disdainful Stroke up if they happen to have found a Cryptic. It's possible I was supposed to take a path even, I guess, but Fairy Conclave's not the worst draw, particularly if we're going to draw land. I am going to have to get through this Colonnade, though, which is going to be difficult. I believe that's just going to have to happen, though this does need to happen in response. So I still have the ability to snap that Wizard's Lightning without much trouble. Because if I left it in hand and tried to go Bolt, Snap, Bolt, I would be displeased. I would be displeased with the result, I think. All right, this is going to flip this turn. Things are starting to get a little ugly for us. Opponent's life total not incredibly low. And their card advantage engines are starting to get turned on here. They found another Timely. That's going to be rough. Let's start with the Remand here. See if they just go for it again. I mean, they don't get any creatures at least, but... Alright, that works out for me. It's also not a bad draw. Sorry. Okay. Guess we're just passing. This timely is still going to be an issue here. I'm not sure what to do about it. I think I just have to let that resolve. Target this Wizard's Lightning. And there's some spots where this play can make you nervous when you don't have the mana to actually hard cast a Wizard's Lightning. Targeting with Snapcaster, if it's your only wizard, can be a big concern. So I think that's worth mentioning. But in a spot like this, obviously, we are fine with it. Opponent still does, or we don't know about this anymore. Let's see here. Animate this and attack with both of these. Spellstutter Sprite's kind of nice if our opponent has found like Path or finds one off of Search for Azcanta. Again, this is going to be a really tight game where our opponent's obviously light on life here, but has the tools to pull ahead if they are so fortunate, which I think a lot of the time they're capable of doing. But we'll see. Teferi. That one's okay for me, actually. I'm not really as afraid of the large, clunkier threats here. So if they're just slamming... Oh, no. Can't counter that even if I animate this. And they're going to get the creatures. I don't think it's worth bolting my Snap, though. Yeah, that'll probably close the game out in combination with the Teferi. That's unfortunate. I don't think there's anything I can do now, really, realistically, to pull back into this game. My opponent's just going to be generating a ton of advantage off of Teferi and Azcanta, and now has a life total large enough to bridge the gap pretty well. Looks like a Vendilion Click, and we'll go ahead and pack it up in that case. Close game, but 3 timelies, I guess. Sort of 2, right? The one we put on the bottom, so... Or... We didn't... No, we did. Yeah, okay. Either way, close game. Hopefully we can sneak it out on game 3. I don't think, by the way, considering anything like Staticaster is really worth it. Yes, I've been mentioning that Colonnades are a problem, but if I was really that worried about Colonnades, I think I'd be a lot more interested in something like Vapor Snag than like using Staticaster to cobble together a burn spell plus Staticaster. And yeah, it kills the tokens, but most of my beats are in the air, so... I don't think I can really afford to be putting in things like this that are just so light interaction, basically. I need to be very proactive in the matchup since my opponent is clearly going to win the long games. Speaking of which, I could see more burn, particularly on the play, but my counterspells are still great. I like all my cards here. Electrolyze is better, I think, than Lavamancer or Burst Lightning, so we will stick with it like this. No play draw change, I think, in this matchup. No Delver still, but an okay hand. Spellstutter Sprite, obviously a lot better on the play even. We can snag a Serum Visions or a Path or anything. Or probably not a Path, but a Serum Visions or an Opt or something like that. I think I want to save this. So we'll go ahead and play Canal and then likely Mutavault next turn. Another fetch land here. Hopefully we can get something with the Sprite. We cannot. See if they name Lightning Bolt here is sort of my guess. I didn't respond, so maybe they name Wizard's Lightning. They might not know that I have one less of those, for example. But I doubt they name a creature here. They could name Mutavault, I suppose. Would be pretty okay with that. I don't think they would be particularly pleased with that. I'm very likely to ambush Viper here, by the way. Not only do I not have anything to Snapcast, but I need... Okay, so they do actually name Wizard's Lightning. I think the thought process being that if I had a Bolt, I would have considered a little more firing it off there. And that is a mistake, I think, by me. not like thinking more in response to this Runed Halo. I think I should have spent a little more time there. That said, I kind of like main phase click here. Other lines are like leave up Spell Stutter Sprite. And Serum Visions, or even like attack with Mutavault and Serum Visions. I think I like that line the least, but yeah, that's gonna have to go for sure. I like this line, I think, the best because I definitely want to resolve this threat. I want to be putting on more pressure, and I don't want to get to interact with counter spells. So doing it on my main phase gives me that, and it makes my Spell Stutter Sprite better in the future. It's an interesting turn as well. I don't know if I'm supposed to attack with this Mutavault. They didn't play the Field of Ruin, which is interesting. I think I am not supposed to attack with a Mutavault, so if they ambush Viper here, I can Spell Stutter Sprite, but then still have negate up for the Jace. Opt. Spell Stutter Sprite is just actually powerful here, so I think I let that happen. If they had Terminus, it would be unfortunate that they would eat my Opt, basically. Okay, well, that's going to eat my Spell Stutter Sprite. That's fine. Definitely want to get through damage. And I want to cast the Spell Stutter Sprite in this turn cycle, so exchanging it for a card that's actually relevant is perfectly fine with me. Honestly, we're like kind of okay with this, with how much pressure we're putting on, but this is how we lined it up. I could save it and just say, look, you need to find real answers, but I think all in all, that's not going to benefit me in the long run. Pretty good spot for us now, though. Before I make any additional decisions, let's fire off Serum Visions. I just made a mistake by getting a basic. I should have grabbed... I should have grabbed a non-basic in the Field of Ruin Path matchup. Leaving up double Remand is nice, but I prefer getting in all the damage that I possibly can. Remand particularly potent against Terminus, though, which is nice. And possibly a reason I should leave both up. But that would be against a blind off the top Terminus. It's not like they've been able to set it up or anything like that. All right, Field of Ruin's up this time, so probably would benefit me more to just leave up Remands. They still do have the Snapcaster and a Path in the bin. So double Remand likely to come in handy here. Okay. Just Remand the Snapcaster again. All right, and we got it. See you in just a moment in the round number 3.